I think Lane, good to see you, man. I think that's the Lane who was getting started with his agency, if I'm not mistaken. Lane, good to see you, man. All right. So we're live today. You guys are gonna get to see me do one of my very favorite things. So I'm gonna be making working on my app. Um, the first time I learned how to code was GPT teaching me right when GPT-4 came out. So I don't know if that was 3 or 4 years ago. And would have to copy and paste. So I was like, what? I was like, how do I make an app? It's like, you need to go to the documentation. I'm like, what the heck? I don't know what any of this means. I'm copying and pasting things out of the documentation, asking, like, what does this mean? Copying screen. You couldn't even screenshot, couldn't take a picture. So I'd copy the screen and be like, what does this error code mean? And I made my first integration app in Zapier. I had this idea. I just saw it. I knew how I was really good with high level already. I understood like automations and in general, but I didn't understand how it flipped over into webhooks and that kind of stuff or Python. So, but I immediately just saw, I was like, AI is going to be able to replace everything. I started working on like, I don't want to get too into details of stuff that's not really exciting and new for everybody now, but I made my first app and I had a vision for high level plus AI being able to automate like like communication for businesses fully. So I spent a couple years integrating different voice and chat AI tools, and getting really deep into automation, doing hundreds of custom high level development projects and integrations. Led me to be the number two highest rated high level admin in the world, number one in North and South America. And I've won like the top AI sub account award, which means more agencies high level wide or more sub accounts high level wide turned on AI employee with my code than any of the other 60,000 affiliates. Got me a master class because JB, John Bermudez, saw my ad when I spent that 75 grand I was telling you guys about on developing the app I made, the integration app. And so but it has just really what I'm doing with the AI tools and they're capable of doing has just hit a turning point in the last 3 months. And I feel like we've all been saying that every 3 months for I don't know how long. But now it really can not do sales. And I think that was the main mistake I made early on and I think a lot of us made with, I spent 40 grand for Air AI thinking it was going to replace our sales teams and be able to do a really good job better than a appointment setter. What I've come to learn is no, like AI voice systems can't really detect micro pauses. They don't know how to call somebody out off of a micro pause or off of like soft language you might be able to catch, but there are certain things it's just not going to be like a person yet. Um, but when it comes to development, it's far exceeded people. When it comes to just copywriting, it beats most professionals. It beats 85% of professionals in all fields now. So I learned how to use I started with Claude Code, and then I started learning a lot about skills and how those are replacing like the traditional app infrastructure. I connected my Supabase, my Vercel, my GitHub repository, learned what all those things were. And this is like a month ago. Um, and there's really a couple processes you have to go through to get an app ready to build, to be able to build where you can just have it do everything for you. You guys are about to see what I mean when I say that. Like fully integrating new platforms into the app automatically, stuff like that. Um, so it took me 4 hours to get set up in the first place, to have it where it was connected to Supabase, Vercel, and I was using Codex. I moved over from Claude Code. And then it probably took another 6 hours of me training it on how to operate on its own, teaching it to use Playwright to look at its work, and then keep working on fixing it until it got a positive test. So now I can do about 3 years worth of coding a week or so on while I'm working. I just have to give feedback and do the final QA. And often it's still stuff wrong, and I send it back and send it back. But there are 3 or 4 parts of the app I'm working on now. Now, this app is designed to automatically integrate all the platforms you're using and set them up. It'll start by already setting up high level, so it'll detect from a conversation. So I take my sales call and I know how to run them to get all the information I need to pretty much plan out the rest of the build from that conversation. But I take that conversation in their website and use that to instantly generate their whole plan and then plan it out over a calendar, assign things to humans that need to be done by humans, assign things to AI, they're done by AI, and then actually use browser agents to control the execution. So that's my app. The thing that I wanted to be able to do since that first moment I had where I learned how to code and became obsessed with AI 4 years ago. Now I think it'll be done for high level in the next month, maybe two, hopefully just a month. And then I'm going to go cross-platform and have it set up Salesforce and HubSpot. And I'll break down some of the frameworks for how I'm doing that a little bit during this call. But now I'm going to get straight into like what I'm working on now and show you guys how I'm doing it. The end goal too, so it'll be able to set up all your platforms and it'll create that environment that it took me really 3 years of learning automation, or no, not 3 years. I've been doing it since 2020, 6 years, and then 3 years since I learned how to code and actually building out these things for people. It gets you in that environment where everything's connected and you can just press go. Like it'll detect what you need to integrate, what API keys you need to set up, and you say go get them. And it'll open up a browser tab, grab all the API keys, bring them back home securely, and then let you create whatever you're thinking of for your business. You can also just say train me and it'll open up a browser agent where you can click through a process. It'll learn the process and then save it as an automation you can use in the future. So it is what I was envisioning. And the parts I'm working on right now, I'm going to share my screen. This is Codex, if nobody's ever seen it before. And I'll often have Codex running in a few threads while I've got Claude Code or Claude Cowork gathering credentials for the next whatever I'm integrating next. And for me to stop having to do that, I have to fix the last bugs in my in-app browser agent, and that's also going to let me hand off to my a lot to my team to start fixing problems. Um, so I can use the browser agent from here from Codex actually, but I don't know why I don't just have that running in a different thread because I could. Um, all right, so there are three parts I'm working on. One is the Chrome extension and the orchestrator view. I'm going to explain what these three things are, and then I'm going to show you me getting all three of them running at the same time or being worked on. So this is the orchestrator view. It's the same as Claude Code and Codex, but inside of one app. So I recommend certain stacks for different tasks. So if we're doing development and it's highly important, we're going to do everything on the highest intelligence model. We're going to make a plan and then look at images when we're doing QAs with Claude. And we're going to execute with Codex because Codex is much better at tool calling, retry logic, and those kinds of things. So Codex is the harness, Claude's the planner, but that does increase the latency because you're passing information between the two models. I'm setting this up so just like with Codex, Claude Code, or Cowork, you can send more feedback while it's working without stopping it, without interrupting it. So I'm refining this interface to look like Codex when it's actually working. Um, Now it has to take screenshots to understand what's going on. So I have like a special QA adapter that takes screenshots like rapid, like a video, right? To be able to understand how this interface looks when it's running and also QA our own interface. Um, so it'll get there. You can adjust all the same things, plan mode, um, just like with GPT agent mode. You got automations. Those are the future things you save to run in the future outside of what you can do in high level. So if it requires logging into a portal and getting access because there's no API to read stats or send a message, that would be an automation. Otherwise, it's going to default to building in high level because that's a better, cheaper structure for running things that are just on a timetable or triggered by an event that don't require browser access. So, and you can do browser access with Manus too, which is something in high level. But here's the limitation. With a custom high level plan, I can't I can't have a pipeline for that process. It's different every time. And the task is different every time with different information that needs to be in the prompt. Now you can custom field that information into the prompt, but the fact is it's never the same task for a client because some clients need this, and that done. Other clients need the same thing done in a different order or something totally different. High level builds are not static enough to use a pipeline. So you can't use high level system to do it. You need a system that custom plans out the tasks for that project and then assigns them. And when one's completed, it tells the system, hey, this is completed, what's next? So it's not possible in high level, not with the way they have got it set up now, nor with ClickUp or any of the other project management tools. So that's why I needed it because I have to do this every day. That's the problem that I face every day that is killing me. I can't find anybody else that can do it. So, um, and even with multiple project managers, it's just very complicated, as you can imagine. So all this is to help me solve my problem, which will help you guys solve all sorts of problems. And the orchestrator view, you guys see what it's supposed to do. I'm working on this, and this works side by side with the Chrome extension, which is white labeled for you guys. It's all just called Onboarding Wizard. You've got agency, sub-agency view, just like HighLevel. So it's all to be resold by people who can become AI orchestrators. So AI orchestrator is the highest paying job in the world right now. It's someone who sets up these types of AI agent systems. And I'll be releasing this with a course that helps people learn how to have that highest paying job in the world right now. And this platform does most of the legwork for you to be able to go into a business and then orchestrate. So this is just the first page. This is what the part that really makes it different just from using Codex or Claude Code. And I'll give you a sneak peek at a client. So quick email for me to send to the client with anything that's left, along with their project scope. This is only phase one. So in the back end, it's every time content's uploaded or even anytime inbound message is received in HighLevel, it updates everything here unless it's already been locked. Um, but even if this one is locked, the later phases are not locked. So you can't see phase two, phase three, phase four, and the potential automations it's thinking of to help improve the business outside of that. But all that context is being built, so you literally, the client pays, you open this up, and it recognizes everywhere we need to get access. I'm also going to have a get access button that'll open up a browser agent that can actually go and do it the same way you're about to see me do it live for you in Cowork in about 2 seconds. And then first we approve the phase and acknowledge the phase. It's just the phase first. Once you approve this, then it locks this as the truth for all the things we need to create. And there are different what I call sections, and they're conditional. So it detects what sections are needed. And then I've got a skill for how you write each type of section, and then also a skill for how we create new ones when there's a custom platform or custom deliverable that's detected. Um, but this is basically like all of the inputs and outputs from our previous onboarding form, and then client team ready execution packet. But it's only phase one, so we're only focused on what we need for this stage. You go through with the client, you approve all of them. I approve them first, then you can approve them, and then they're locked. But yes, it's literally everything for a client for a client to build out in one shot. And so you guys can see that's pretty different from from like a custom app development platform. This is for you guys who are helping automate people's businesses, not for the end user. It has all the features for protecting, like it's IP logging when the client approves these things. And then the onboarding call is, so then it goes to plan. Now that this is approved, it may have kicked off the plan. No, the client still has to approve it first. It detects who's doing the fulfillment, automatically creates the plan. Obviously, we've been doing this a while. We've got template plans. Then it goes into development where you can monitor my team's progress doing it, or you can do it. If it's a task that's been done before and trained into the system, it can execute in the background. It shows you blocked actions. And then this is the tool that this part's really helpful. It shows all the parts that need to be covered during onboarding. So they have to approve all these things. And obviously, I haven't gotten to doing too much on this screen, but it also detects everything that you need to show them on sign off. So it allows anyone to come in here and be like, okay, this is what I need to show them and for them to sign off so that you build it inside of your staged environment. The client approves, that's all IP logged. So they've said, hey, yep, that all works. They sign off. Then you move it into their system. So even if you're building in someone else's agency, you're protected against chargebacks and all that kind of stuff. So it's designed for the service delivery process, right? You're never going to have a business owner who feels confident that they know how a system needs to be built out. So even if AI can do it for them, this is like this creates like an approval chain coming down from best practices. So anyhow, I'm just getting into what the app does in general. I'm gonna circle back to actually showing you guys some development. So there's three parts I'm working on. One is a payroll system for my team. I think it might be on a different work tree, so I don't know if it's gonna show here. Yeah, it's a different work tree. So let me just show you guys and get to work and get it all the channels rolling. The first problem I was having was I'm using um, until I get the orchestrator tab fixed from what it's doing, I can't have it do this part for me. So I'm still using this. And what I'm gonna do, I think this is stuck. Let me see. No, no, we need to use HighLevel's official documentation, but I think you've lost browser control. I'm gonna close all browser sessions so you can take back control and we can finish creating the skill for high-level access. So I'm working on a payroll screen. There's a few different aspects to how you integrate HighLevel. You've got to have read and write access to a sandbox sub account. You've got to have read access, only read access to the whole agency for reporting on your staff for payroll and for call transcript analysis for sales coaching. So it goes and creates those scopes and passes them over to the Codex to actually connect them. So I did that part, but then I realized the documentation for HighLevel is not public. You have to log in to get it, just like a lot of documentations. So what you do is you create a skill. So anytime it realizes it needs to get some data from HighLevel, now it can access a skill that contains every single scope and all the different actions that are possible from that scope, what the URL is for the webhook. And with that info, then it can actually, be fully controlled through Codex. So having it gather that while I also work on the um the orchestrator view. So this is blocking me from finishing the payroll report I need. So I'm gonna say, let me close my Chrome. Chrome is closed. Please open it back up and let's get back to the official documentation. I already know GitHub doesn't have accurate info in their repository. And I'm using WhisperFlow here. It's 2 times more accurate than any other dictation software. I just hit function, hold it, and talk, and then release. I use it across all my devices. The last 20 days, I think I dictated over 100,000 words with it. But you guys see that was perfect.
Nice.
Yep, there it goes. It's all this stuff is what it's doing in the background. So I'm gonna get that running and then I'll move on to getting everything else going. But right now it's just ingesting the entire. Okay. If we can pull, yes, I do want to pull API routes through transcript, but first I'm really wanting you to focus on creating the skill for every single API call that's in that documentation. We need to click every drop down and gather all info from that whole documentation so that we can create a skill we can use in our app. I meant for, I mean, yeah, I do want to pull transcripts through the API route, but that's not our only goal right now. The goal is to get everything from this documentation so we don't have to do this again. And create a skill from it that I can download here and pass over to my Codex to put into our apps Claude skill repository. So my orchestrator, normally people have to work in Claude and Codex separately, but like I said, we've got different recommendations for which model you use in different scenarios. So mine lets you use both in one view and has the skill library that has skills from both of the major LLMs that I use. It also has like Nano 2 for image, so it has some Google LLMs attached. I'm trying to work on a website. I'll have a website section that I'm developing where it'll make sick websites instantly after the call too. And since it's already connected to Vercel, we can already like post those really quickly. All right, so now it's working right here. And when it's working, it glows like this. It's really cool. I'm gonna set mine up to do it the same way. Probably opening every page and then hitting Control A is good, but you may need to hit drop downs on some of the options. And I'm wondering if there's drop downs within the pages that you need to also expand. Let's make sure we figure that out and don't miss anything, but also find the fastest way to do this. So that like in in flight follow-up is what I'm working on in my app too. Now that's running. So I'm going to go back to my next task, Codex. This one is stalled by us working on that. No, this one is. So I just updated. It's supposed to add Spanish in here. I'm not seeing how you switch it. Here it is. Nope. It's a different nurture. Where did that go? Okay. Spanish. Okay. Maybe it's on the staging. Okay. Not yet live on production. Let's check it out. So he needs a Spanish version. So I created a skill for detecting which sections would need to be client facing, which ones it should update into Spanish, and then adding a toggle. So let's see. That wouldn't be one. Knowledge base probably would be one. Yep. But that ain't Spanish. I think the browser control is messed up, so it probably couldn't check that. That's Spanish. There we go. Bingo. It's that simple. So it makes them approve both. Let's see if there's any other client-facing areas that it didn't do properly. And it's the client's client-facing, not just like my client-facing. Yep. Yep. Okay. Only one issue here. The knowledge base toggle didn't work. Mm, boom. Now, this is the one that I'm most excited about. What was the issue? I like the old version. I need to open this. Use the preview link for QA review. Okay. Are you able to connect to the browser session? Yeah. Hmm. Maybe I need to. I think I'm having an issue because I'm trying to control a browser in a different profile, one that doesn't have extensions enabled. Here, I know how to fix that. Oh, it does have extensions enabled. Yeah. Okay, so for some reason it's like it's not fully connected. I'm not sure why. I'm not able to pass the instructions. That was that just got open because Codex was trying to fix the Spanish issue in the knowledge base section. And it's checking to see if it worked. Is that the new screenshot? Yes. Oh, so now I've got everything running that I really can. Let's take a look at see how this guy's doing. Oh, shoot, it did it. Oh, it's launching parallel agents to scrape all of them simultaneously. It's pretty neat. Wow. Michelle, did you see that? So yeah, this process too is a will make into a skill for um
Very interesting.
a skill for how I onboard a new platform. So I'm gonna have it map this process out and create a skill for creating an API skill. And that'll be one of the portions of mapping a new platform. The other part is um, for high level. First off, my knowledge about how the order in which things should be set up and what makes a high level setup right. That's where you really need an expert's opinion. I can maybe have AI go and gather that on other platforms, but what I can have it do for sure is map like, okay, when I'm setting up, how do I set up a nurture in Salesforce? And then have the agent go and look at all of the actual input sections, like what are the inputs required by this platform for this. Um, that's what I've mapped out for high level. We've got our onboarding form, our process for preparing it into deliverables, and then for um, installing those deliverables. But it comes down to like what the inputs are on the platform itself. And so there's a few different things that I would use to add other platforms, a few different skills, and you chain skills together. So you say, here's the primary platform onboarding skill, and then it's got the API coverage, the UI so it's the API, the UI needs to be mapped. And those are really the main two things. And then you need to know, then there's the skill that takes the call transcript and determines which aspects of the platform that should be set up for the client. And that's really what I'm still doing on a call. But I went to my Claude thread where I generate my post call emails because that's where I dump every single conversation I have with clients. And I said, hey, turn this into an automated onboarding flow. And so it asked that now I've got like a part of the orchestrator that when you first come in, walks you through everything I walk you through on a sales call. Um, and I imagine from a dump of like a Salesforce agency's sales calls and onboarding calls, I could get the same kind of information. So I just have to find one person that does that. Well, so it created a bunch of side by side agents to go and extract all of them. It hit errors on some because of old URLs in the sitemap. And now it's sending back a different, use the Docker source sidebar configuration file, which has all links to find. It's already working around the issue it's having and running more parallel agents on the remaining 404s. So it's not going to be long before I have the whole thing mapped. And then I'm going to show you guys how I just dump this skill right into Codex. And then I'll say, hey, use this new skill to understand how to get all the information I was wanting for payroll and for activity reporting. And use this anytime we need a high level API. So even if you have the access, it still has to have some base information to know how to use it. It's not always available online.
Elijah Z. Greenberger, +1 561 397.
Second. What's going on, Elijah? I'm on the group call right now, but the team got back this morning and I've got them getting you an update. They were gone Friday and Monday, so today's first day back.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
I was just, I know you're busy now, but just the A2P, that's like super
Yeah.
pressing for us.
Yeah. I'll make sure they do that today. I got you. Talk soon.
Appreciate it.
Um, Okay, let's make sure we submit Elijah Greenbrier's A2P if that's not done. He just asked me as well. I know you guys just got back today. I think I saw some emails from their team on Thursday asking us if we got what we needed for fourth webhook. But maybe I already let you guys know about that on Thursday. I'm not sure. Shoot, what the heck? Where'd that message go? It's pretty crazy to see. Like, I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't seen it do something like this, but the way it is problem solving and not stopping until it gets me the result. This is the same behavior that I'm working to train into my app, but my app will let you switch between both of these and all that. Something's going on in my Discord. There we go. Ugh. So yeah, like like AI orchestrator core skill is going to be knowing all these different processes for ingesting a company's knowledge and turning them into skills. So phase one is ingesting platform knowledge, right? We need to get the API and the UI mapped, as well as execution ready packets for the deliverables of the client mapped, and the fields that they take in on their onboarding forms. So that's phase one. Then phase two is the skills. So you've got the desired output format and input format. The skill is what the person does in between those two things to create the output. And so then you have to mine skills. So if input is, hey, I want to get my business set up in HighLevel, and output is my recommendation, the skill is the series of questions I walk them through and wisdom around how I get that information out of them. The skill for preparing a nurture sequence from their business information and their industry and their knowledge base is a whole set of rules for that. Um, but like I was mentioning, if you know where to look, like I just find a person that does this for Salesforce, I know where to mine that information. So like you mine it from the calls of the person who's doing that work or the screen recordings. For my company, and then for a lot of y'all's companies, the train me part of my Chrome extension will be you just tell your staff they have to execute through there. And that's how you mine that information. Um, it has full on dictation going on while you're doing the clicking too. So you just explain everything you're doing. And I imagine I could have it even ask questions if it doesn't understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. That's actually a really good improvement I should do. Let's check on our Codex. When I click on your live QA tab, when I click on your live QA tab, is that the one that I should open my onboarding wizard extension from? That's kind of confusing me because I'm not sure if I go to another tab and open the extension there, if that's messing things up by taking control of a browser tab that's not upgraded. But I guess it's probably more based on the tab I'm orchestrating from. I just don't know how to make it so that the tab link you give me becomes the one that's the orchestrator tab in the situation. I think it needs to actually control another browser tab instead of it be the last one I interacted with for that to work. You tell me if I'm wrong. And so this is how you write, a year of code on top of, I did 3 years of code during the 5 business days last week. And this is how you do it. 95,000 lines, 3.5 million tokens. No, no, no. I was 3.5 million is my over. No, no, that was right. That was for the 95,000 a week. A million tokens is a year of work, just like 1,000 or 30,000 lines of code is.
So Rob, these are the applications we're utilizing to set up our client, is what you're saying?
It'll be doing this same type of thing, but inside of my app.
Right,
So,
right. That's
yep,
great.
this is it. So, like, I have a skill for taking that transcript of the call, and it's going to determine the same way I would. Okay, on the first call, so the idea is speed, right? So on the first call, we want to have everything ready for their approval, and we want to get access to every platform and all the documentations for that platform. So that may
Mm-hmm.
require them adding us to a few things. So it'll queue up a task list, right? That's part of that first
Mm-hmm.
intake call screen.
So that. Mm-hmm.
And then you'll just hit do it, and it'll open up a browser agent just like this. And the client might have to log into a couple places,
Mm-hmm.
but then it'll go and gather all of the stuff needed just on autopilot. Now on that first call, we wouldn't scrape the whole documentation, but I'd make sure they gave me their logins to get into the documentation.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
So then now my team on the back end would go and execute this. And eventually I hope to have a course. I mean, this is not that complicated, and I can actually set it up so it will know to do this for you. But obviously my end goal is to empower all of us to be AI orchestrators. I don't know if you guys have been seeing the YouTube, all the reels and Instagram and TikTok videos about this, but I saw one where it just had a bunch of clips of like super famous people, really influential people in the tech space, especially business, saying that this is the most high paying job. And it makes sense because like there's no other job where you can pump out 3 years of work
Right.
in a week. And I'm doing that on top of 16 appointments a day. So I'm just in between calls. I check on each of these different things I'm doing. And it is kind of hard. I'm having to keep all these,
Right.
I got a lot of balls in the air at any given moment, not to mention clients, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But um, now that I'm able to automate this, this is something I can really sell. I'm really this is a much better thing for me to have as a main goal. So I'm still going to take all the calls from the directory. I've got my sales team working on generating their own traffic, but I need account managers to help pull that space back onto my calendar for people that are already onboarded, into the system with me. And so
Mm-hmm.
that'll clear my calendar up. Then I'll drive heavy on getting this full automation done, even though I'm still making great progress even on with my calls. Once I'm there, then I'll make more of an effort to get number one in the directory. To be honest, right now I don't need more clients. I'm fully overwhelmed. Everybody's doing fine, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't need more. And so um once I get this thing done, then I'll be able to handle unlimited volume. And
Understood. Yep, definitely.
not to mention
Great progress.
it ought to um it ought to get great traction if I post about this in the high level community. So that's my goal.
Excellent.
That's Michelina. I can't
Thanks
see.
a lot.
Yeah, I thought so. Shelly, what do you think, man? I wonder if you've ever seen anything like this. A lot of these guys,
No,
most of
I actually like it. I think it's great. I was wondering how I can get my hands on
y'all
it.
soon. Trust me, I can't. Once I have a software product that's generating me revenue, and I'm confident once I post this in the high level community, and I have a couple other strategies that I'll get enough traffic to where I can move to fully for my time, not for me not to be selling time anymore, but for me to be able to sit back with my team and really perfect this part. And then all of y'all will be able to get, normally my minimum is 2K. If you're I'm gonna have $1,000 plan for the orchestrator, and
Mhm.
it'll be able to do more than what you get from us for $1,000. Um, and then I can just make apps and really live in my vision from a few years ago.
Nice.
All 36 specs processed.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's something that's unique that you built.
I think so too. It started with me just I had a Google Doc that I would use for planning out. It started with just a document that had the opt-in nurture, knowledge base, AI prompt, all of our generic templates.
Hmm.
And I would have my team create it, and they were using GPT to update it from the client stuff. But I realized I needed the pipelines, automations, tags. So I started making a spreadsheet that had all of those sections on it. And I started developing like, here's how I organize this information where my team can execute from it without making mistakes for each aspect of high level. And I made one for ads. And then it just became a document that was way too big to manage. And it would miss things when I was trying to process all that at once through GPT or through Claude. And then I was like, I have to get an app to like sequence the processing of all this data so that it's usable. And that was how this happened.
Interesting.
I wonder if it's saying it got everything or not. I'm not quite sure. Stale URLs or JavaScript directly. I'm not sure if that get. Are we sure that OpenAI spec file was official from high level? Previously, another agent was looking for the conversation transcript API, or maybe it was user details like number of unique dials or contacts called, and GitHub repository was saying it didn't exist. But then when I went into the documentation, I was able to find it. So can you help me verify we really got everything? Don't stop if you're still working and get everything you can. But we feel like need the validation against all the sections that you see inside of the official documentation. Shoot. All right. So you just need to watch it. A lot of times you'll catch it doing things wrong and you'll have to give it feedback while it's going. And that's an essential part that I'm trying to get to work in my orchestrator. I didn't really see it working the way I was imagining yet, but I'll be able to get there. And I think, let's see what this said. The QA tab I give you should be the orc controller tab. Okay. Open the extension pop-up from that same tab. All right. Okay. I think if I open that one, and then I'm gonna open two of them. Control Shift R hard refresh. Heck. I don't see it doing that. I think I might need to close this one. It shouldn't be resetting that to the old version. Let's see. Okay, maybe this will work. Okay. I've had it work before and do browser control from there, but I needed to make a lot of changes, like to the they're having trouble doing the global control, like controlling from the global view, which I need. Now I'm having trouble showing you guys, but it doesn't matter. You've seen it on the Codex side or Claude side. I see what this is doing. All right. All right. So I just gave you a screenshot. Basically, what happens, I opened up your link, did a hard reset. Then I copied the link over into another browser tab, did a hard reset. Then I opened the Chrome extension from that page. Now it turned that updated page into the controlled tab, but it opened up the old version of the orchestrator on the left-hand side. And I'm assuming that was the one that was granted control access. That one still can't do global work. And so I think that's what's causing the issue. But bottom line is the feedback loop between the two is still not working. I brought up the page you gave me that a hard reset, not the one that I opened the Chrome extension in. And then I tried to control from there, and you see the way it was responding. About to have my sales team training, guys. I'm gonna go heat up a little food while wait. Oh, I was gonna say I've got a video on YouTube. This is really cool. If anybody's still watching this, I'll go ahead and watching this on YouTube later. I made a video like this years ago when I first learned how to code from AI, and when I first figured out I could do this, and this was a much more basic way of doing it, um, I couldn't sleep for like a month. I was sleeping like 2 or 3 hours and waking back up and just couldn't get off the laptop. And I worked not quite that intense, but similar, not far from it for the past few years. But now that I'm doing this, it's kind of the same. And it's almost like I'm being forced to because as I put my clients in there, it's like I have to keep moving them forward. Um, and I'm just slammed with work. So it's like, it's my only escape. Let's go back to like my first video. Mm, oh, I didn't upload it first off. I wonder if it got taken down because it had like data in it or something. Look through one more time. This is it. I think. All right, Nyan. So I've gotten this connected and or I've gotten everything set up, kind of the main things I would use to figure. Yeah, this is it. This is me making a Zapier app, but just copying and pasting stuff in the chat. So it's like there's a very primitive way of the way I used to do it. But you see, I'm still in a documentation and learning what that was for the first time. Pretty cool. If you guys want to learn how to do this stuff, I'm going to be making a course that shows, it'll show how to use my app, which jumps you past most of the hard stuff and puts you in a place where you can build something amazing for your clients and automate almost anything besides sales and marketing. And this will be the same system that controls the robots when you attach them to the business. It really is that crazy. So join the link in my bio. You can see that right here. HLAI experts. And put your information in anywhere. You'll get invited to one of these live sessions. I do these twice a week. I've got a ton of bonuses. This new app connects to my AI memory unification flow. So it's passing every single time anybody talks to your AI in your high level, sends you a text, email, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, actual telephone call, all that's going to actually get updated into the app. So it's as simple as they pay. Well, really, what triggers the information to start going to the app is if I say I'm going to send you an agreement or send you an email or send you a proposal, all of those trigger any future interactions plus all the back interactions to be loaded into the app. So the minute I go in there, it's ready to roll. So that's it, guys. I'd love to show you whatever you want to see. Thanks for coming. Does anybody have any questions before we jump off? And I'm not talking to my sales team that just came on here, I'm talking to clients and viewers. Y'all all good? Cool. Well, I'll see you on Thursday. It is Tuesday. See you on Thursday. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank
And
you.
I'm gonna bump everybody but my team if you guys don't mind. Don't take it personal. Kevin, Paul. Go. All right. I got a bunch of note takers I need to kick out, guys. Hang on. Can you guys just jump out and let's come back in? That way I don't have to do kick 1,000 note takers out.